Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Toronto Real Estate Podcast. My name is Kori Marin. I am a broker and co-founder at Marin. Today, we're going to shake things up a little bit. We're going to go on a bit of the lighter side. And as you can see, my co-host, Mr. Ralph Fox, is not with me today. So you have me solo. And we're going to talk about some fun stuff. We're going to talk about some creative stuff, and we're going to go a little bit off our regular path and talk about some of the design functions that would be super helpful if you're a condo owner, a condo seller, or perhaps a condo purchaser in downtown Toronto. So that is what we're going to cover today. I really wanted to invite you into what it looks like when we do consultations with our clients about their properties. How can we add value to a property? So this is an inside look of a conversation I personally have all the time with my clients. And as a member of the team that spends the majority of her time on the listing side of the business, so selling properties in downtown Toronto, preparing them for sale, marketing them, working with our photographer and our stylist and our videographer, writing a lot of copywriting, and really diving in to the interiors of all of the real estate we have in this city, I thought I'd share an inside peek as to some of the advice we're giving to our clients as they're moving along their property journey. Now, massive caveat here. I am not encouraging you to buy a condo. I'm not encouraging you to sell a condo. I'm not encouraging you to do anything here. This podcast could be perfect for anyone who wants to stay in their current environment and make some upgrades. This could be an excellent resource for condo sellers, whether they're now or way down the road, whenever you're choosing to sell, to start considering some of the upgrades you could make to add value to the property and give it some color and character. Or this might be perfect for the buyer out there. It's like, okay, I kind of want to take advantage of the softer conditions out there on the buyer side for condos. I probably could get a good deal, a decent price, add some conditions. Like everything out there is so generic. How could I make one of these generic cookie cutter boxes in the sky more interesting and dynamic? So that's really what I want to focus on today. I want to focus on 9 things that you could do yourself. You could hire a handyman to do, or you could encourage somebody that you know that happens to be good with Home Depot and home renovations. Like you've got a really great mom or dad that's good at this kind of stuff, or an uncle that's good at this kind of stuff, or you hire a professional to do it. I don't really care. Or you learn how to do it on YouTube. This is what so many of our clients do now, is they do the work themselves and they educate themselves on how to do some of these things using YouTube, which I think is amazing. Ralph and I are not good at do-it-yourself projects. In fact, we are terrible at them. So probably best to use a third party to help you with some of these projects. I'm going to list 9 things you can do. And what I really want to keep in mind when putting together this presentation or podcast for you today is to think about how boring, like absolutely boring, some of our condo supply is out there. And we have a lot of it right now. And if we want to talk about supply, we can talk about that in another podcast. We've got like 5.5 months of condo supply or inventory out there. And a lot of it, honestly, is not quality. Okay. We don't have quality condo inventory in Toronto. We do have some amazing lofts with some amazing buildings, some beautiful luxury condos out there, and some average condo buildings that have delivered beautiful product. But we have a lot of shite out there, to be honest, like just a lot of cheap finishes, cheap floors, poor floor plans, awful exposures, and then everything else in between. So I kind of want to focus on that because a lot of the inventory that is sitting out there is kind of junky. So it's like, okay, there's kind of an opportunity here. How can we take something that's like, doesn't really have a lot to say or a lot of character or vision, and how could we upgrade something that's kind of flat and boring and make it something awesome? Having sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of properties and walked through thousands and thousands and thousands of condos, I can tell you that a lot of these look the same. And I've told this story before, and I'll just tell it quickly now before we dive into the 9 tips, is I had been showing condos for years. And I started as a rental agent, then I moved up to a buyer agent. And I remember I had seen so many properties by this point. And I remember the first time I got $1 million buyer. Like to me, I was like, I have made the big time. I have $1 million buyer. I'm a luxury agent. And so I'm so excited. I was going to go into these prestigious buildings and I was going to show these $1 million condos. Like finally, I'd made it after grinding and hustling, doing open houses and a million rentals. I finally got my client. And we walked into my first $1 million condo. And I was like, oh my God, this is just the same shit, but bigger. I was so disappointed. It wasn't like all of a sudden I was getting wainscoting and beautiful stone or gorgeous backsplashes or, French doors or anything interesting. It was just more square footage of the same thing. So I'm completely acknowledging this void in character in some of the product that we're delivering here. And so I want to talk about how we can switch that up. So I'm going to introduce some visuals for you. The first one is just an example of like what a lot of condos look like. I mean, when you scroll through your House Sigma app or your Realtor.ca app, you're looking at a lot of this. And I'm talking stripped of character, white walls, poor finishes or poor quality finishes, bad lighting, horrible mirrors, very challenged floor plans, and weird corners and nooks. And then, of course, just your like day-to-day tiling at the backsplash and your day-to-day tiling in your bathrooms. So there's just not a lot going on. And I could see if you were a condo owner or you are a condo buyer, you're like not that inspired. And I get it. I'm not inspired looking at this either. And this is just a mishmash of a bunch of Toronto condos I pulled from MLS for you to take a look at, mostly to validate you, to validate the fact that you're not alone in these feelings. I feel the same way too. So I'm obviously not pushing this down your throat. I'm just acknowledging that we've got a box to work with and what could we do with that box? So with the 9 ideas that I have for you, I've categorized from less expensive to the most expensive investment. I'm not saying you have to do all of these things. And I really want you to start considering where you could source these things at a better price. So you don't need to go out to the most expensive lighting store or buy vintage wallpaper or go and get, custom millwork done. A lot of this you can do, as I mentioned, do it yourself, or you can source a lot of these great things on places like Wayfair or Amazon or Bouclair. All of these places have options out there that can mirror some of these sentiments. So let's jump in. I talked quite a bit. Let's get into the good stuff. The first thing, lighting. I talk about lighting with sellers, both freehold and condos, probably more than anything else. I don't think outside of staging and cleaning and get rid of all your disgusting clutter, I don't think there's anything better that you could do for your home to brighten it up than lighting selections. And it's amazing to me what lighting you can buy at what incredible prices when you do explore websites like I just mentioned, like Amazon or Wayfair. So what I've done for you on this slide is I pulled on the left-hand side an example of a typical condo lighting. So you're going to see really poor track lighting. You're going to see some generic fixtures, and you're going to see a lot of wall sconces and flush mounts is the word I was looking for, flush mounts. And these are all builder grade. When you switch these around and install some of the aesthetic that I have showcased for you on the right-hand side, you really can change the entire feeling of your condo with just this one quick fix. Now, I do encourage you to use a licensed electrician to switch out your light fixtures. Please be safe. But this aesthetic here on the right-hand side really incorporates warm tones, warm toned metals, a lot of frosted glass we're seeing. And we're seeing varied fixture styles throughout, from pendants to sconces. And it's kind of a combination of modern meets vintage inspired aesthetic. And I really love this look. And you can see here that I pulled together a couple of different ideas, a chandelier look that you could do over a dining room table, your track lighting that you'll often see in a kitchen, and even these simple flush mounts that you can pop in your hallways as an example. Just changing your lighting will change your space entirely and give it a lot more character. I want you to be really smart about where you put in the bigger fixtures. So, like I mentioned, the dining room table is a big focal point, perhaps in your primary bedroom, if you're lucky enough to have a junction box in your primary bedroom. And another place to look at is your bathroom lighting. It really makes a difference to have a beautiful light over your mirror. This is the first place to start. I would hunt around on some of these websites. If you want to, I'll include a link to these slides in a Google Drive below in the show notes. So you can pull these slides if you want to cross-reference them when you're looking for certain aesthetics, if this is to your liking when you're doing your search. So this is the first place to start. Lights, lights, lights. I cannot say it more. Tip number 2, and this is a simple fix as well, is changing the backsplash in your kitchen. You can see here on the left-hand side, very much the typical backsplash that you're going to see in a lot of Toronto condos. It's very rare for me to walk into a condo and be like, wow, I love that backsplash. Like very rare, unless the owner has done an upgrade. And because condos aren't huge and a lot of these condos have smaller kitchens, to upgrade your backsplash is not going to be a huge expense. So, and again, you can source a lot of these great tile options at Home Depot or Lowe's or online at places like Amazon. You just got to hunt a little bit online. You don't have to spend days and days looking for this stuff. It's available more so than ever before. You can have it delivered directly to you if you want. So a big aesthetic change we've seen subway tiles and mosaic tiles for years. Like I could not be more bored of these tiles on the left. Like just snooze-a-roo. So we're seeing a lot more vertically stacked tiles like you see here on the right-hand side. They've got a little bit of texture to them, more natural in tone. So they will go along with most wood elements or cabinetry in your kitchen that's existing. And sometimes you're going to see glossy. Sometimes you'll see these in matte. And you really want to be able to balance light reflection with some of this earthy softness that may exist in your cabinetry already. I love the vertically stacked. I think it looks gorgeous. And you can go simple, 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 and just do something white and stacked. Or you can make a little bit more investment in the style of tile that you're using and get something with more texture and some of that sort of more like ceramic feel to them. When you're speaking to your installer, you'll have options. You can put your tiles, your backsplash, directly over your existing backsplash, which is often the less expensive way to do it. Or you can have your contractor or handyman rip out your existing tile and put these new tiles in, which often bumps up the cost. But you'll want to speak to a professional person that understands how to do this before you rip out your tiles and be like, what did I just do? But this is a massive way to upgrade your kitchen without having to redo your cabinetry, because the cabinetry is going to be where it gets more expensive. So this is often a technique that we use when we're prepping with our clients, both again in residential and condos, to upgrade and give the space a refresh without breaking the bank. So to top that is tip number 3. Tip number 3, we're going to stay in the kitchen a little bit longer. And I have said, update your hardware 1 million times to clients over the years. Updating your hardware. So if you look on the left-hand side of the slide, you're going to see some really traditional, boring silver hardware poles, basically, that you see everywhere. And not to knock IKEA, because I love IKEA. I think they produce amazing things. It's genius in so many ways, but this is very much like an IKEA pole. And you're going to see it everywhere. So little silver knobs and silver poles. So I recommend that you take those off and you're going to upgrade them to something a little fresher and more on trend with 2025. And I really like these examples here of brushed brass handles. They're going to give you, again, a little bit of that vintage touch, but it's kind of that combination of modern meets traditional. And I like some of them are linear, but some of them are now curved as well. So the most important thing I can tell you about hardware sourcing is you want to take measurements first. And when you go inside your cabinets, you want to measure basically screw to screw. How many inches between each screw is going to tell you what size of hardware you need to order to replace it. You can literally do this yourself. You're going to remove all your current hardware, and then your new fresh hardware is going to arrive, and you literally just need to screw it in. It is not rocket science to do this. Again, great sources for this would be your Amazons and your Wayfairs. I cannot express what a difference swapping out this hardware will do to your kitchen, but you can also use this same technique in your washrooms. Change those little knobs, change the knob on your medicine cabinet, and change your pulls as well to your door handles. Sometimes what happens though is once you start to do this, you'll also start to notice that your kitchen faucet looks really weird against something like a brushed brass handle. So you might want to update your kitchen faucet as well at the same time. Not that I'm telling you need to break the bank, but once you start doing one thing, something else might come up for you when you're exploring this process. But hardware is amazing. I also am going to have a little plug here for my sister-in-law, Shayne Fox Hardware. Her stuff is unbelievably gorgeous. So if you have a little bit of a budget and you want to spend a little bit more on something special, for example, a bathroom vanity or maybe a piece of furniture that could use a new select piece, her stuff's incredible and has been featured all over the place online and in many, many different interior design magazines. So check her out as well. I'll link her down below. So that covers hardware. So we've done lighting, big time. We have done kitchen backsplash, and we've done hardware. All right, following me so far, tracking on board? Okay, any ideas, pop them down below in the comment section as we go. Nothing is more disgusting to me than, well, there's many things that are disgusting in condos sometimes, but one thing I really find to be a pet peeve are these vertical blinds or Venetians that you'll often see in your generic condo. And those are featured on the top left of this slide. So Venetians or ill-fitting drapery that you'll see in the bottom left-hand side here. This just slapped up probably by a renter at some point, and then no one has ever replaced these curtains ever. So if you don't have roll-down shades, or if you do have roll-down shades, I don't really care if you do or you don't. I really want you to consider making the investment into some beautiful linen curtains. Simple. Linen curtains. You can buy amazing linen curtains at IKEA. I'm telling you, they are gorgeous. Linen curtains, put them on a black hardware so that you can showcase the contrast between your linen curtains and the hardware, just like you see on the right-hand side, actually, of these pictures here. And if you want to, you can layer them with like a beigeier set and then a creamier set if you want more of that hotel look. The most important thing you need to do is measure. The drapes almost need to hit the floor. They don't need to be gathered on the floor, but they don't need to be 1 foot off the floor. They need to just hover at the base of your floor. Go longer if you need to, and then get them hemmed to the correct length, because that is also a pet peeve of mine, to see beautiful curtains that are ill-fitting and then they still sit on the floor in a giant clump because they're too long. When you get your new curtains in, you will have to install the hardware. It's kind of a pain in the butt. It probably will require 2 of you to do it or somebody that's just very handy. You're going to get your packages from IKEA or wherever you source these. I found a lot of them on Amazon as well. Linen, go sheer. And you're going to have to steam them because they've been sitting in packages for how knows long. So when they fall out of the package and you hang them for the first time, they just look terrible. So you will 100% either have to steam them or iron them. I'm sorry, I'm saying it already, is a giant pain. And in fact, I was just steaming some curtains the other day for a new listing we have coming out, and I put these linen curtains in, both in the 2 bedrooms and on the main floor family room, and they were hanging there for a couple days, and I knew I had to go steam them. And it took me to do 3 sets, probably to steam them an hour and 45 minutes because the wrinkles are cray. So be prepared for that, but it does make a big difference. This is really going to soften the space. It's going to give your space more of a hotel look. It's still going to diffuse natural light. You're adding function, but you're not compromising on style at the same time. You're offering privacy. And if you choose to sell down the road, this is going to help up your photo game big time when you have beautiful drapery on your condo windows. Please listen to this tip, okay? Because look at the left. Gross. Look at the right, pretty. Look at the left, gross. Look at the right, awesome. Okay, great. All right, let's move on. This is also really easy. So on the left-hand side here, you're going to see your typical kind of condo washrooms. The newer bathrooms that are doing in newer condos tend to be a little bit nicer, but if you bought something that's a little bit older or you've been living in your condo for a while, your bathroom's going to look similar to what you see featured here on the left. And you're going to see just cut glass for your mirror. And that absolutely says nothing to me. Like I could not think of a more snoozy bathroom than the one on the top left. So if that was my listing and I was looking at that and the seller didn't want to make a huge investment, I would definitely paint that bathroom 100%. I would change that light fixture over the mirror 10,000% using some of the visual aids provided in tip number 1. And I would change that mirror. Oh, that mirror. So here on the right, I'm showing you some of the trends for 2025. These are freestanding mirrors that have a little bit of shape to them. They're not circular like we saw forever. Circular mirror, oval mirror, oval mirror. Now we're seeing ones that are a little off kilter and have a little bit of shape to them that are really interesting and beautiful. And as you can see here, of course, acknowledging that these are merchandised and professional photos here on the right, just adds so much more character and flavor to the washroom. So this is a very simple fix that you could do yourself. Taking off the glass that's originally there might not be as easy as installing the new mirror. So make sure you understand how that glass is affixed to your wall before you rip it off. Please be safe. But I really would love to see some of you exploring some uniquely shaped mirrors. And other places to add mirrors in your home would be your hallways in condos, just to give it a little bit more depth and width. And then in some unique places, and I'll talk about that shortly when I talk about some millwork work that you can do. Okay, so mirrors, got it? All right, wallpaper. This gives you a sense of nostalgia. It blends tradition with contemporary aesthetics. I really love these earthy greens, these soft neutrals. I love a little bit of pattern, some texture, and some subtle wallpaper adds that character without overwhelming the room. And it can create a really cozy atmosphere. And one thing I can tell you for sure is that wallpaper shoots beautifully for real estate photography. It just makes the photos look so much more interesting. And now more than ever, there's so many peel and stick options out there. You will just be mind blown once you start hunting for some of these. So I wouldn't go massive on wallpaper, especially if you're living between 500 and 600 square feet or 600 to 700 square feet. You want to add a little touch of wallpaper. So on the left-hand side, I've showcased a couple examples of where I might consider adding wallpaper. And here is this tiny bathroom on the left-hand side, which would be perfect for a wallpapered room. A wallpapered bathroom, excellent. Or over here on the bottom left-hand side, just above the framing would look really beautiful for a subtle pattern of wallpaper there as well. This, if you're good with this kind of thing, you could definitely do this yourself. If not so good at it, let me know. There are great wallpaper people out there. I just want you to be really smart about how much you're spending on having somebody do this for you. I've showcased some patterns that I personally like here on the right-hand side. I think these look beautiful. They definitely look gorgeous in a kid's room or a baby's room, as you can see here. But there's lots of ways to introduce wallpaper, both masculine and feminine, into your home, adding that little spice of character just to take your boring, generic cookie cutter condo and elevating it to another level. This is a huge tip. I can't wait to hear about what you do with wallpaper. Please share with me in the comments if you decide to explore this. And I would always love to see what you've been doing with your own do-it-yourself projects in your condos. All right. We have a ton of condos that are advertised in Toronto as 1+1s. So I'm sure you've seen this before. So a 1-bedroom plus den or a 1-bedroom plus media room. Okay. And here on the on the left-hand side, I've showcased what that is. And that is basically like a cutout in the wall where you could put a desk, I guess. It's like nothing. It's a cutout in the wall. And generally, in most people's spaces, they don't really do anything with it. It kind of turns into in-house storage. It turns into nothing. It turns into just wasted square footage of nothingness. I can't even tell you how many bikes I've seen sitting in these exact nooks and condos. All right. It's kind of a ripoff. But if we're smart, we could do something with it. And this is where I want you to look at your floor plan and be like, do I have any weird nooks in my house? Or sorry, in my condo that, and you could do this in your house too, for that matter. And I have done this before for clients when they're selling their properties. Is there a little area for a nook? And what I mean by a nook is something like these built-in desks. And I want to return to that mirror comment earlier, and I'm going to bring it up here. So remind me. So here, this is very simple. You've got this weird nook, kind of like you see on the left, and all you're doing is adding a built-in desk here. And this could be very simple. This could be like IKEA shelves stacked one on top of each other with some nice decor on top, a cute chair and a light. You could do this more custom and do a custom build out with millwork and a carpenter if you wanted to. You could add that archway as you see showcased here on the right-hand side in the center photo. There's unlimited options here. You just need to have an uncomfortable space, and you need to take the uncomfortable space and make it something special. So something that I often talk about with my selling clients is I want to try to create moments in their listing. So we can take tighter, more personal shots when we're shooting the property for sale. And this would be an example of a moment. So even if you only have 549 square feet and you can find an area where you could create this moment, this would be an excellent option to do this. So you're maximizing both form and function, and you're adding something creative that the other condos in your building don't have. And again, when you go to sell it down the road, I'm not telling you to sell right now, you will have something that is more unique and beautiful to shoot later on. Another way to use this space, depending on where it's located, so it has to make logical sense, and this is why I want to bring back the mirror idea, is if you have one of these weird nooks and it's in your bedroom, for example, or like off your closet or something like that, you could make this into a built-in vanity and then use one of those beautiful mirrors there. And that's where you would get ready and blow dry your hair, do your makeup. Like, I can't imagine one person out there, at least for me anyways, that would not love to have a vanity table in their condo. I mean, for years, and I still do it. I still sit on the floor. I don't know what it is. I've been doing this since I'm 15, in front of a big mirror, and I blow out my hair and put my makeup on sitting on the floor. I've been doing this for years. Maybe it's a habit I will never break, but a beautiful vanity would be also another great way to create these moments. All right, 2 more tips for you. Pet peeve, pet peeve, pet peeve, sliding doors. Oh, okay. What condo doesn't have these? They're just like literally the worst, especially the inside bedroom doors, as you see on the top left there. I really actually can't stand them. I'm being honest. And if you were my buyer and we were going in looking at condos, I would be telling you this over and over again. I like to have a bedroom personally, especially the primary bedroom, to have a real window. And I like to have a swing door. So developers have gotten around being able to sell 2-bedroom condos by offering the second bedroom as an inside bedroom with no window, and saying, well, technically it is a bedroom because it has a closet and has these shitty sliding doors that allows for natural light. So now we can call this a bedroom. I just think this is a ripoff and really obnoxious. So this drives me crazy. But there's always a way to get around this. And this is where I want you to introduce you to reeded glass panels. This is what you see here on the right-hand side. I'm obsessed. Like, this is just stunning. Now, I want all of you to know that I know this is more expensive. Probably you'd have to do this custom. It's not like you're going to find the perfect reeded door that fits exactly into your condo at the exact dimensions. So I completely am acknowledging this. But if you have a little extra capital, or you thought you're going to sell and now you've decided to stay where you are and you just want to up the game and you want to up the ante, this is an incredible way to do it. I just love it. So you're adding this a little bit of an industrial touch. You're still staying within the apartment realms. You're not getting too homey. And so you still want to stay nice and crisp and clean, and you're still allowing for light to come in. But I mean, game changer. I mean, who doesn't love this? I think this is brilliance. So if you're trying to add doors like you see in these passageways here on the left, or you're trying to create a space between two rooms, which a lot of condos don't have. They're just like big honking rooms with like no specific room for or designated room for dining or for living, for example. You might be able to introduce a panel like you see here on the right hand side. Or this might be very helpful in a studio apartment when there's no delineation between the rooms either. So, reeded glass panels, I can't say enough about this. We actually, in our own home, have doors with reeded glass, and they just look so classy and beautiful. So, highly recommend exploring this. Finally, my last tip, again, a little bit more of an investment, but I think this is really helpful for smaller one-bedroom condos or two-bedroom condos for that matter. They're lacking in storage, and they just are. They're lacking in storage. So here on the left-hand side, I'm showing what you normally would see for a typical Toronto downtown cookie cutter condo bedroom. They all kind of look like this: bulkheads across the top, small closets, perhaps floor to ceiling windows. And you're like, well, where am I going to put my stuff? Like, you know, that's not offering a lot of room, for example, for a dresser. In this case, if you want to, and you could even go to IKEA for this, I really love the integrated cabinetry and shelving framing the bed as you see here on the right-hand side. This is an amazing way to make the bedroom look so much more expensive, add so much storage. This is a way for you to add character and then some modular elements as well that you could customize to your liking. So if you're a shoe person, or you have a lot of long dresses or suits, for example, or you're somebody who likes to have a lot of books, whatever it might be, you might be able to customize this to your liking. Other places that do this type of thing are your custom closet companies, and there's a ton out there. I obviously said IKEA already. Your California closets would do it. And then you could also go higher end and do custom millwork, which I don't think you need to do depending on the price point of your condo. So let's just go over these one more time quickly, just to remind you, this is all going to be down below. I've got your lighting, you got your backsplash, you've got your hardware, you've got your drapery, your mirrors, love it. Wallpaper, love it. Finding your moments, these special built-in desks or vanities. Reeded glass doors, get rid of those sliding frosted doors, please. And then finally, if you can, pull it off integrated shelving around your bed. So finally, I just want to show one sort of design palette for you, kind of like your own mood board or Pinterest board, for example, just to give you an idea of sort of the direction design is going in 2025. This might just be helpful for you too as a little bit of inspiration. We're seeing a lot of these warm, neutral tones, which I love, and a lot more green coming into play, which is gorgeous. A lot of gray with a green undertone. Just a beautiful palette that's just so warm and inviting, and we're moving away from all of those colder spaces, which a lot of condos tend to showcase. So I'm really excited about the direction of this aesthetic. It's something that we've been talking about with our clients when we're trying to get their properties ready for sale. So as I mentioned, if you're looking for a condo, but you just don't want something cookie cutter, there's a way to make it anything but. And these are some ways to do that. If you're currently living in a condo and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't live here for one more day. Yes, you can. Let's introduce some of these elements. And if you're looking to sell, which I'm not suggesting you do right now because there's so much supply out there, but we'll talk about that in another podcast. These are some things I'd like you to consider doing if you're thinking about selling in the future to get ready to go to market and stand out from the crowd. You really need to stand out right now and do something special and unique, especially when you're competing with 5.5 months of condo supply out there. I'm going to put these slides in the show notes for you. Please feel free to download them off the Google Drive. I'll make it accessible there. If you have any comments or feedback, or you'd like to see more podcasts that align with this particular subject, you just let me know. I hope you found value in this. It's just I love this part of what I do. I'm so happy to share this information with you. And of course, if you have comments, I'd love to hear from you. And we try to respond to everyone as well. So drop them down below. Thank you so much for joining us on the Toronto Real Estate Podcast. Ralph Fox will be back next week. I really appreciate you tuning in. Have a great weekend, everyone.